On January 11, 2013, the body of 17-year-old Kendrick Johson was discovered inside a rolled-up gym mat at Lowndes High School. Authorities quickly ruled his death an accident, but over a decade later, questions still linger. Was it truly a tragic mishap, or is there more to the story? Before the headlines, before the controversy, Kendrick Johson was just a kid growing up in Valdosta, Georgia. Born to Jackie and Kenneth Johson, Kendrick was the youngest of three siblings in a close-knit family. He was raised with strong values, surrounded by faith, love, and structure. At Lowndes High School, Kendrick was known for his smile, his drive, and his passion for sports, especially football. Friends described him as quiet, respectful, and focused. Not the loudest in the room, but always someone you noticed. He had dreams: college, football, a good life. But on January 11th, 2013, all of that ended. What happened next would haunt a town and fuel a fight for justice that still burns today. On that fateful day, classmates found his body headfirst inside a vertical wrestling mat. Authorities theorized he was reaching for a shoe stored inside and became trapped, leading to positional asphyxia. The mat's opening was 14 inches wide. Kendrick's shoulders measured 19 inches across. Could he have fit inside? Some students claimed it was common to store items in the mats, but the circumstances raised eyebrows. The initial autopsy conducted by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation concluded that Kendrick Johson's death was accidental, citing positional asphyxia, a rare occurrence where the body's position prevents proper breathing. Authorities claimed Kendrick likely fell into the mat while reaching for a shoe and became trapped. But Kendrick's family never accepted that explanation. They believed the story didn't add up. The physical positioning, the condition of his body, and the lack of immediate answers raised suspicion. Determined to uncover the truth, the Johnsons hired an independent pathologist who performed a second autopsy. The results were starkly different. This time, the cause of death was listed as blunt force trauma to the neck, a finding consistent with assault, not accident. Not stopping there, a third autopsy was later conducted by the Armed Forces Medical Examiner. While that report didn't directly support the murder theory, it did not support the original conclusion either. Instead, it classified Kendrick's death as undetermined. The conflicting autopsies deepened the mystery and intensified public scrutiny. To Kendrick's family, these discrepancies weren't just errors, they were evidence. Evidence of mishandling and potentially of a larger cover-up. Their search for answers was no longer about how Kendrick died, it was about who was responsible and who might be hiding the truth. As the investigation unfolded, yet another disturbing discovery added fuel to an already growing fire. During the second autopsy, Kendrick's family learned that many of his internal organs were missing, including his brain, heart, and lungs. In their place, wadded up sheets of newspaper. The funeral home responsible for preparing Kendrick's body claimed that the organs had been removed by the initial autopsy and were too badly decomposed to preserve. They said the substitution with newspaper was a standard practice, one used to fill empty cavities where organs are absent. But to Kendrick's family, this explanation was unthinkable. They hadn't been told, they hadn't consented, and they believed something far more sinister had occurred. The family filed multiple lawsuits over the years, against the funeral home, against the school, against law enforcement, and even against classmates they suspected of being involved. They alleged a massive cover-up involving not just individuals, but institutions, law enforcement, the school district, and even federal authorities. Their lawsuits painted a picture of corruption, mishandling of evidence, and deliberate obstruction of justice. But legal action proved difficult. Many of the cases were dismissed due to the lack of hard evidence or procedural hurdles. Still, the Johnsons refused to back down. Through protests, press conferences, and national media attention, they turned their grief into activism, demanding accountability and refusing to let Kendrick's story fade away. Despite years of setbacks and closed doors, the Johson family remained resolute. For them, this wasn't just about proving wrongdoing. It was about honouring their son's life, exposing what they believed to be a grave injustice, and making sure no other family would suffer the same unanswered questions. In 2021, nearly 8 years after Kendrick Johson was found dead inside a gym mat, the case was reopened. New evidence had surfaced, a recording, reportedly containing a confession. The Johson family believed this could finally have been the breakthrough they had been praying for. But the hope was short-lived. Authorities reviewed the recording and ultimately deemed it inadmissible, citing concerns over authenticity and lack of verifiable context. The alleged confession was never tied definitively to a suspect, and questions about its origin left it unusable in court. Despite that, the Lowndes County Sheriff's Office launched a thorough reinvestigation. After reviewing over 17 boxes of evidence and conducting dozens of interviews, they released a detailed report in early 2022. The report reaffirmed their original conclusion. Kendrick's death, in their view, was a tragic accident, not a homicide. But for Kendrick's family, the new report brought no peace. They rejected the findings, stating that the report ignored key contradictions, failed to address crucial forensic inconsistencies, and dismissed the possibility of foul play. To them, it was not just an official failure, it was another betrayal. The case sparked renewed public outrage, reigniting conversations about transparency in law enforcement, the treatment of black families seeking justice, and the systemic failures that often leave marginalised voices unheard. Kendrick Johson's story has become more than a local tragedy. It's a symbol of the wider struggle for accountability in America's justice system. Kendrick Johson was more than a headline. He was a son, a brother, a student, and a young man full of promise. He had dreams of playing college football. He was known for his quiet determination, his work ethic, and the warmth he brought to those around him. When his life ended so suddenly and so violently, his family was shattered. But through their grief, they stood tall. Jackie and Kenneth Johson didn't just mourn their son, they became his voice. They turned pain into protest. They demanded answers, challenged systems, and forced a national spotlight onto a case that could have been forgotten. For over a decade, the Johson family has carried the weight of uncertainty. They've faced closed doors, legal setbacks, and public scrutiny, but they've never wavered. Their mission is clear: to uncover the truth, no matter how long it takes, and to make sure that Kendrick's life and death are never dismissed as just another statistic. Kendrick Johson's story is more than a mystery. It's a mirror, reflecting the cracks in our systems, the silence around injustice, and the resilience of those who refuse to stop asking, why?